I'm joined now by Wardah Khalid. She's a writer and political analyst based in Houston. Welcome to back to the broadcast.
Thank you.
I'm sure you just heard in our report that we've seen this massive protest earlier at this makeshift shrine for the bombing victims in the heart of Brussels with a group that Kate Parkinson described as hooligans chanting anti-immigration slogans. Are these groups a symptom of a bigger underlying problem in Europe?
Absolutely. I believe they are a symptom of an underlying problem, and that is the mentality of us versus them, whether it's against Arabs or Muslims or immigrants. The fact that these protesters were shouting anti-immigrant slogans and Nazi salutes shows that they are trying to increase that fervor again, or increase that nationalistic attitude again. And unfortunately, this is the very reason that many people become radicalized in Europe, because there is an issue of integration of these perhaps Arab, Muslim, or immigrant communities within the general population. And by doing protests such as this, they're only making the issue worse. And I think authorities were correct in shutting it down right away to make sure that it didn't become a bigger issue and motivate further attacks.
Well, we know that ISIL has used Western-influenced videos in the past to recruit, and in Libya, it's been reported they were offering $1,000 to new recruits. But what has been the real draw for the foreign nationals living there in Brussels?
The draw of ISIS here is it gives people a sense of empowerment, it gives them a sense of identity, it gives them a sense of purpose. And a lot of people, young people, can become influenced by this if they're disaffected youth, if they're having issues with unemployment, if they are having socioeconomic issues, if there are grievances, and they'll apply these to an ideology. And if ISIS is coming in and saying, well, we can pay you, you're not making any money where you are in your country, why don't you come here, we can pay you to fight, we'll give you a sense of purpose, we'll give you a reason, belonging, brotherhood. And these sorts of factors will incite and motivate these young people to go and join them. And so they're able to keep up this purpose, and by doing this kind of us versus them mentality in the home countries in Europe, they're further perpetrating this issue. So we have to be very, very careful about that.
Where do we know the law enforcement there in Brussels is taking a lot of criticism for these attacks even happening, but how do the radical jihadists living in Brussels seemingly blend in with the community there?
You know, it's the way that you look at it is there's no one stereotype for a radical jihadist, a quote-unquote radical jihadist. It's not about blending in. I think the issue here is, why are these people doing it in the first place? Carrying it out is a completely separate issue. And I think authorities should be focusing on the broader picture at all. It's not about, 24/7 surveillance. It's not about endless questioning at the borders. All of these things are pieces of the puzzle. But the actual issue at hand is, why are these people becoming radicalized in the first place, and why are they choosing to join ISIS and commit these terror attacks, whether it's on their own or whether it's through ISIS? And I think that is the issue that authorities should be looking at. And part of it is, the communities themselves have to be responsible for making sure that their members are not going and joining ISIS or are not committing these radical activities. But the government needs to help in its own way in making access to education easier, making economic opportunities and jobs easier, making it easier for people to integrate into society and not be so disenfranchised. In that way, they're going to be less likely to commit attacks, and whether they do it by blending in or not is not the issue.
Wardah Khalid, thank you so much, joining us live from Houston.